You go online, you see certain goods you like, you shop for it, and you're out. You go to your banking app, do certain transactions, and you're out. And then you visit social media, you laugh, you cry, you get pissed, or whatever, and you're out. Have you ever wondered how these companies tend to keep your personal data from hackers? Well, you see, every day organizations are faced with cyber threats, from phishing to ransomware attacks, but somehow they tend to stay ahead. Well, this answer lies in something we call cybersecurity framework. Hello world, I'm John Ikogonaway, and I'm here to take you through another session, and this session is on cybersecurity framework and threat modeling. By the end of this session, you should be able to define cybersecurity framework, state the purpose of cybersecurity framework, identify and describe major cybersecurity framework, and finally analyze threats using the STRIDE model. So, what does it mean to be secure online? Like I mentioned earlier, we said cybersecurity framework is how organizations stay safe online. And these frameworks are like blueprints. They guide companies on how to protect their system, detect threats, and recover from attacks. Whether you're designing a secure app or managing a network, understanding this framework is essential. Well, today we're exploring some of the most important ones, like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, the ISO 27001, the STRIDE, and interestingly, the MITRE ATT&CK. Each plays a unique role in keeping our digital world safe. So let's get started. And I trust by the end of this lesson, you will not only know what these frameworks are, but how to apply them like a cybersecurity pro. So let's delve in. Well, by way of definition, cybersecurity framework is the set of policies, standards, and best practices designed to manage cybersecurity risk and protect digital assets. Well, cybersecurity framework is important because it helps organizations prevent, detect, respond to, and recover from cyber threats. It's it provides structured guidelines and best practices to help organizations manage cybersecurity risk, um, protect their data, and ensure resilience against threats. So here are some of the cybersecurity framework. We have the NIST, the ISO 27001, then also and 2, then the CIS controls. We have the COBIT, the HIPAA, the HIPAA, and the PCI DSS. Well, each of this framework rather you're having before you is a combination of both the general and the specialized, because we have two types of framework of which we should be looking at right now. So we have two types of framework, and the first one, let me just go straight to it, is general. Well, the general framework includes the NIST, which is the National Institute of Standard and Technology, and they have their core functions, which is identify. We're going to look at that shortly: protect, detection, response, and recovery. We're going to look at that also. Then the ISO, we're also going to look at that. And 27001 is responsible for the information security management system. We're going to look at, because these two are actually what we're going to look at on the general framework category, because they are the most popular of them. So let's go to the specialized framework. Here, the specialized framework is as displayed on your screen right now. So we have the STRIDE, we have the MITRE ATT&CK, then we have the PCI DSS, and the HIPAA. Is specific. Why? Because it's tailored to a particular sector. Let's take, for instance, the HIPAA. The HIPAA is for healthcare, right? Healthcare data protection. That's what they're responsible for. Or the PCI DSS. That's the Visa and the MasterCard. Those are the ones that ensure safe handling of your credit card data. Those are it, where we have the STRIDE and the MITRE. But anyway, we're going to look at the popular ones here. We're going to just pick the stride and the MITRE, because if we decide to elaborate on everything, it's going to take a whole lot of time and it's going to be a pretty long video. So we're going to be looking at just this set of framework for the general and the specialized framework. While specialized framework so because they are designed for specific tasks, for specific industry, or a threat type. But general framework are for general tax governance. So it's a general thing. It's like Wugweru, right? So you see, usually they are utilized together. No particular framework is used alone in isolation. Usually you add or you join them together to achieve a greater result. Because, like, take for instance, like the stride helps you model threats during designs, whereas the MITRE attack helps you track adversary behaviors, right? How the attackers behave. That's what it does. But then you see your NIST cybersecurity framework help you to build a comprehensive security program, right? So you use them in collaboration with one another. So you can just think of the NIST cybersecurity framework as that strategic blueprint, while the stride or the MITRE attack are tactical tools that you use within those strategies, right? One is the strategy, the blueprint, while the other one is the tactics you're going to use, right? The tactical tool you use. So you don't use them in isolation, you use them together for better result. So let's go into the NIST to see how that. NIST is a very flexible and a powerful guideline that is developed by the National Institute of Standard and Technology. It's a list of important steps that's needed to keep computers and information safe. It's like a safety plan for organizations, and there are steps that they follow or we follow for this. The first is to identify. Identify simply saying you find out what you need to protect. You have something very precious, you have to identify it, right? It's not everything in your house that is so precious. So those things that is most precious to you, you protect it. You identify it first. Then next is to protect it. All right. Then you put safety measures in place to ensure that nothing bad goes to it. Then the next, you watch out for problems. That is, you detect it. If there be any problem, you detect. Then you respond if those problems surface. That's you just act if something bad happens. Then next is to recover. So you fix things and go back to normal. So let's take an example to buttress my point. Now, remember that infamous computer virus of 2017, the one where some guys made ransomware and they locked up computers around the world and requesting for money to get it back, right? Yes, WannaCry. That was like a thief. So let's try and examine that and see how WannaCry fits into NIST cybersecurity framework. First is identify. Many organizations didn't know the computers to protect. Then did they protect it? How many people got it protect? So many victims didn't install the patch. So if you didn't install patch or update, your system was very vulnerable. So there was no protection for you. Now, also, many people did not identify or hear of the WannaCry on time, so they didn't detect it. It wasn't detected on time. But to respond to this, many people or hospitals, businesses shut down, didn't turn on their system for a while until they got a clue that the worm has been handled. Final recovery, many companies are recovering their file from backup. So let's look at the ISO 27001. Well, the ISO framework refers to a set of internationally recognized standards developed by the International Organization for Standard, as the ISO. Um, the the framework provides structured guidance for organizations to improve their quality, their safety, their efficiency, and the security across their various domains, from manufacturing to cybersecurity. think of the ISO like a big safety manual, but for computer systems and data. Well, the goal of this ISO 27001 is to create an information security management system, which is just a fancy term for having organization safety rules, check, and processes to protect information. Now, here, risk assessment should be conducted, right? So let's use, say, a hospital as an example. And so the risk assessment simply means figuring out what bad thing could happen to the organization, say the hospital, like I said, how likely and harmful those things are. So here are the steps. The first is to find out what could be at risk, like the patient's data. Then think of ways something bad could happen. Just think of the worst case scenario. Just be the devil advocate there. Say, for example, if a hacker or somebody loses a laptop or they take over the network, what could happen? What is the worst case? The hospital that implements the ISO 27001 framework will essentially be stating that who can go where and see what, and they ensure that risks are found and fixed using a step-by-step protocol or step-by-step plan. So they'll only let the right people go to certain places or let the certain people get certain information. So using the physical access, only staff can access certain rooms due to the access cards they've been given. Like they might there might be doors that they cannot even go into, but the doctors can't open or the pharmacists can't open, right? And the next is digital access. So the doctors, nurses, and receptionists all have their own computer login. Everybody have their own login details. Then, like the nurse can see patients' chats, the doctors can see more than just the patient chats. Why? Because you have elevated privilege. Then the IT staff should see everything, or he can change the software, right? He can see everything and control everything. So there should be regulations on that. Then the visitors management. The visitors should like wear their badge and have a specific sign-in with very, very limited access. Just be their own room and nothing more. Right. Those then special case. So if a staff member loses a job or is no more working there, that should be turned off immediately. Deactivate the card so the person don't gain access and mess up the whole system. Well, next is the STRIDE. It's just an acronym used in threat modeling to categorize different types of security threats. It stands for spoofing, which is pretending to be someone else, like fake identity. The next is T, is tampering, which is unauthorized modification of data or altering data or system. Next is repudiation, which is denying an action or denying action without accountability. Next is information disclosure, unauthorized access to sensitive data. Then we have denial of service, which is disrupting system availability or not allowing the system to be available at a given time. Then next is elevated privilege, which is gaining higher access than authorized. Let's look at how the CIA triad complements this STRIDE framework. Online banking app as an example here. The first is spoofing. If through phishing email a user is being tricked to reveal their login credential, then for the CIA principle, we will say the confidentiality has been breached or is at risk. Then for tampering, if a hacker modifies a data or the database, then we say integrity has been compromised. Why? Because the integrity means don't mess up with my data or don't touch my data, right? Then repudiation is just saying if a user denies making a transaction, that's integrity also. It's just a messing up the integrity. So with a stride, if you look at information disclosure, we see if an attacker exploits a vulnerability and steals personal or financial information or personal information data, financial data, then we say that confidentiality is also has been compromised. Then denial of service is when the attacker floods the server, for instance, flood it with traffic and make it unavailable. Then we will say availability from the CIA triad has been affected. Then elevation of privilege is gaining administrative rights, or that is gaining the ability for you to view or modify data, getting elevated privilege. When that happens, then we say confidentiality and integrity is at stake. So this is how the stride threats blends with the CIA principle. Let's look at the grading system of school. That's the school grading system, and see how that also works. So for a school grading system, like a university grading system, you see spoofing, when a fake identity is used to log in to view the grades, then we say confidentiality has been breached. Then for tampering, see that when you modify the grades of a student, integrity has been breached. Then for repudiation, it's then denying that they didn't submit an assignment or submit a given data set when it has been recorded. That's integrity. Then information disclosures, when attacker exploits a vulnerability and access the personal information of students. Confidentiality is breached because that is data being breached. Gaining access when you're not supposed to. Denial of service is when they flood the server with traffic and making it unavailable. So at that point, vulnerability has been affected. Then finally, elevation of privilege is when administrative right is being given to an individual, and the person can view and modify grades without the appropriate consent from the authorities to get that done. So then we say confidentiality and integrity has been breached. So with stride, let's look at a quick summary of it. You see the spoofing and information disclosure both target the confidentiality, while the tampering and repudiation targets integrity, and the denial of service targets availability. Elevated privilege targets confidentiality and integrity. Now, when you understand these threats, the impact on the CIA principle will help in designing a very robust security measure to protect the systems. So some of the recommendations here will be implementing very strong authentication, then data encryption, and regular audits, and finally robust DOS protection mechanism, that is denial of service mechanism. So let's look at the MITRE attack now. So the MITRE attack is an American non-for-profit corporation that operates research and development center sponsored by the United States federal government. It's known for its work in system engineering, information technology, and cybersecurity. Well, then the attack in the name is just broken down. We get the adversarials, which refers to the attacker in the context of cybersecurity. Then the tactics, this is what the person seeks to gain or to achieve during the attack. That's a highly, is it privilege escalation, or just want to gain first initial access there, or data extraction, that is exfiltration. Then techniques, which is the method the person is using to actually carry out this act here. So is it phishing? The person wants to using, or the malicious actor wants using gaining access to it. And finally, we have the common knowledge, which is the collective understanding and documentation of these tactics and techniques based on real-world observation and incident reports. So when you look at this, the MITRE ATT&CK framework is a curated knowledge base that tracks cyber adversary tactics and techniques used for threat actors across the entire attack lifecycle. That's from reconnaissance to exfiltration. So the purpose of the MITRE attack is to help organizations understand the adversary's behavior, that's the malicious actor's behavior or the hacker's behavior, improve on the threat detection, and enhance defense strategies, facilitate information sharing. The key component of this framework is one, the metrics. Why? Because it gives us a visualization of what is happening. That is, the visualization is it helps the organization or help us to know whether it's happening on the enterprise scale. That is, it Windows, is it Linux, is it Mac, or is it cloud, or also is it going to be a mobile thing, which is it Android or iOS? Is the attack an industrial control system thing, or is it just an early stage reconnaissance thing? So it gives us a visual of what happens, like the map of the tactics and the technique of what's happening. Then the next is the tactics. It's just a high level category that describes the goal of the adversary. What does the person wants to do? That's the tactic. What does it really want to achieve? Right? So is it just initial access, let him just come in and go out, or he wants to execute certain things, or he wants to remain on there? Is it a persistent thing? The next is the technique. Is it a phishing thing or remote thing? So it's just a detailed description of how the hacker achieves their tactics. Then the sub technique, this filters it down to see, okay, we know say na phishing. Okay, so what next? Is it via email? Is it social media? Is it through text message? It just breaks it down further to know the exact type of technique. Then the procedure is just a real world example of how specific techniques has been used in actual cyber incident. MITRE attack is being used by security teams to detect and respond to threats more effectively. So security team use the MITRE attack to detect and respond to threats more effectively. They model adversary behaviors in simulation, and also to improve the threat intelligence, as well as strengthen the defense of the organization or the body by identifying the gaps in coverage. So an example of this attack is an organization that experienced a phishing attack. So when you look at the first tactics, that's just initial access, right, from the phishing. Then the technique is actually phishing. Then the sub technique is spear phishing via email. Spear phishing is when you target the individual, which means the person knows somebody or has an idea of somebody in that very company and targets the person specifically. Then the procedure is an attacker sends a phishing mail to an employee who clicks on the malicious link, leading to the installation of malware on the employee's device. So by understanding this structure, the organization can better detect and respond to similar attack in the future and improve the overall security posture. So you think of the MITRE attack as a playbook of the enemy moves, right? Just like you're playing the game of chess. So it helps defenders anticipate and counteract cyber attacks with precision, right? So let's look at the MITRE attack technique and the CIA principle, how they come into play with one another. But kind of the same example we've seen before. That's the online banking and the grading for an online banking app. So the first tactics we have here is the initial access. So this can be through, say, phishing email, where you trick the individual to reveal login credential. At this point, we'll say confidentiality has been breached. Then for execution, the person send a malicious script on that person's device, and if that happens through, say, command, the integrity has been breached. Then for persistence, we'll say integrity has been breached. Why? Because at that point, for the person to remain or retain access, for the malicious actor to retain access on that victim's system, the person should modify the user account to retain as a then privilege escalation. That is confidentiality and integrity breach already. So it has violated it. So because at that point when your privilege is escalated, it means the victim and the attacker's right has been escalated. He can do more than what he's meant to do, right? Then defense evasion. So at this point, we'll say availability is at stake. Why? Because of the obfuscated files, right? Using scripts to evade detection. So you have that is availability. At that point, you can decide to blank the system out or take hold of the system and not let people gain access to their system anymore. So credential access at this point is confidentiality as well, and discovery integrity, because you scan for availability, a service to exploit. So that's integrity as well. Then the lateral movement, because that's got to do with remote service, all right, because we're moving back and forth in the system. So confidentiality and integrity has been violated here for this IA triad. Then collection, then that is confidentiality just has the exfiltration and the command and control, which is availability. So let's look at that for the school grading system. So for the school or university grading system, we'll see that the initial access, we'll also see that the credential access, collection, and exfiltration all violate confidentiality, as there's got to do with the exposure of data. Then for integrity violation, we have execution, persistence, and also discovery. Why? Because they at that point they can manipulate or modify data. Then finally for availability, we have defense evasion and also command and control, because at that point you can decide to use that system either as a botnet or kill the system, hold it hostage. Depends on what the adversary is doing at that point in time. So these are just basic examples of the MITRE attack technique and the CIA principle at risk when this is in play. So I think we just come to an end. So I just want to recap the importance of cybersecurity framework, that it's what organizations use to stay safe online. As in your data, whether it's a bank, whether it's a social media, these are what they use to stay safe online. It's very, very important. Then I have to emphasize also that you cannot just use one framework. You use them in collaboration with one another to have a full coverage or to maximize the benefits of all the framework while achieving a common goal, which is security. So I got a question from someone. Okay, who is that? Okay, yeah. You say, how does MITRE ATT&CK differ from the NIST Cybersecurity Framework? Well, the MITRE ATT&CK is a tactic framework. Remember what I said? It's initially I talked about the MITRE ATT&CK to be specialized framework, while the NIST is a general. So it's essentially a living map of how attackers operate based on the actual observation and not theory. But the NIST, on the other hand, is like your GPS. It won't drive the car for you, but to make sure that you don't get lost. So the NIST is just a strategic framework that helps organizations build and manage a comprehensive security program, while the MITRE ATT&CK is just a tactic framework that focuses on real-world attackers' behavior and technique used for threat detection and response. Okay, so the second question: why is ISO 27001 important for global organization? Well, for that, ISO provides internationally recognized standards for establishing, implementing, and maintaining information security management system. Right? It helps organizations manage risk and demonstrates compliance globally. That's basically what it is. Yes, and the last question that you asked: can you use the STRIDE framework to analyze cybersecurity breach? Well, I would say yes. Let's look at the most recent breach, or one of these recent breach. Let's pick Twitter or X. So, the first was in 2020. So, the attack model here was social engineering of the employee, and they hijacked the VIP account. That's the Elon Musk, and they promoted the fake Bitcoin giveaway scam. People fell for it. Break it down in terms of the STRIDE. You see, spoofing was involved. Yeah. Then elevation of privilege, as you can see, because they took over the account, and information disclosure. They took over a lot of people's account and they exposed it. So let me give you a map of what happened for Twitter from 2022 to recently 2025. Let's just look at it. So here we can see the from 2020 to 2021. Then the other attack happened in 2023, then 2025. Anyway, let me just say this, that the 2025 breach stand out to be the largest social media data breach in history. Just note that, because that's why I decided to pick it out, right? So it highlights the ongoing challenge of security, of securing users' data on social media platform. So users are just advised to take proactive measures to protect their information, such as using multi-factor authentication and monitoring their account for suspicious activity. Then this is very critical. So you don't entirely just blame the company, you have to do your own part as well. So that's a wrap. So let's get into our homework. So number one, what is the purpose of cybersecurity framework? List and explain 6 components of the STRIDE, and find the recent cyber breach and apply the STRIDE analysis to it. Can you do that? So it's a wrap up. Today we have explored the backbone of modern cybersecurity framework that guides how organizations protect their digital assets, whether it's the strategic governance of the NIST or the ISO 27001, or the tactical precision of the STRIDE and MITRE attack. Each framework plays a vital role. Just remember that cybersecurity isn't about tools. It's about structured thinking, risk management, and continuous implementation and improvement. As future professionals, understanding this framework will empower you to build secure system and respond effectively to threats. So let's keep learning, stay curious, and always think like defenders. Until we meet again in the next session of Firewall, IDS, and Antivirus, stay safe, stay sharp, stay smart, and remember, hackers don't wear hood in dark. They might just be eating nkwobi now, drinking very cold palm wine, or maybe with yogurt. Have a nice day.